Well, hello there. Once again, this is Pastor J.D. Hatfield of the Riverside Christian Fellowship in Hernando, Florida. As always, you can find us on the web at voiceofvision.org. And today I want to talk to you about a leadership lesson, the testimony of your conscience. Now, as we are beginning to see the hopefully downward spiral of the coronavirus and its effects, churches are beginning to discuss how they're going to come back together in social distancing and washing hands and touching doorknobs and communion and lots of things. And there's lots of different opinions out there. And so there's lots of committees and elder groups and pastors who are making some tough decisions. And I'm sure that's happened in your life. You ever had to make some decisions, had to take the lead, and then you didn't do right? You didn't mean to do wrong, but it didn't turn out right. Well, I've got a lesson in leadership for you today, and that doesn't mean I'm a great leader. I'm sure those decisions that I've made, people might be watching this right now saying, not that guy. But there's a lesson here in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 12, and I'm going to read that. And really, there's a lot of context around that verse, but even in this one verse, we see a valuable lesson. 2 Corinthians 1:12 says, "For our boast is this, the testimony of our conscience, that we behaved in the world with simplicity and godly sincerity, not by earthly wisdom, but by the grace of God, and supremely so towards you." Now, this lesson isn't just about full-time ministry. It pertains to leadership in your home, your job, and your life. Everyone winds up having to make decisions that affect other people. And this text presents a fact that anyone who has to lead people, who has to make decisions, who desires to be a leader, needs to know and grow in. And it'll help you, not only to help you make good decisions, but to help you make God-like decisions. Not that they'll always be right, not that everybody will always be pleased, but that will uphold you in the idea that sometimes you got to make unpopular decisions. And that fact is this: if you want to be a good, godly leader, you'll need to be confident in what you're doing. Because there's so much strife and uncertainty in ministry and in life. And in order to be confident in the godly sense, to be bold for the right reasons, you'll need to understand the connection between a godly confidence and a godly conscience. They need to go together. Because you won't always know what to do, how to do it, or when to do it. And you will make mistakes. And sometimes there's going to be people who will scold you and slander you and accuse you and threaten you and leave you for it. So, how can I just say that you need to be confident in what you're doing and then say you might not know what you're doing? How can I say you need to be confident in what you're doing when you may not know what you're doing? What about all those people who are confident in themselves? You've met people like that. They're so bold, but they're bad. People are confident, but they shouldn't be because they sure don't know what they're doing, and they do things and it ends badly for them and others. What about that? Well, this text answers those questions. And here's the thing about all that. Hear this clearly. Regardless of what you might think, or the opposite of what you might think, you think, I've just got to do it right and I've got to know it right. And hold on. Because good, godly, bold leadership is not about having all the right answers or making all the right moves. It's about learning the fear of God over the fear of people and developing your decision-making process along that line. It's not that you're not considering what other people have to say and input and all that. No, you are. But not everybody's going to like it. How do you manage that minefield? It's a godly confidence upheld by a godly conscience. That's how you can rightly take into consideration the wisdom of others while bearing the anger and anxiety of others. Whenever you have the responsibility to lead, you will have people who doubt what you're doing. It comes with the territory. And even people who don't doubt your leadership in the overall sense might doubt what you're doing in the immediate sense. And they may be right. And listening to others is part of leading. But no matter how seasoned a leader you are, no matter how many wise counselors you have, and no matter how prudent your process is, sometimes there's so many related issues, so many variables, that there is no middle road that will make everyone satisfied. You can't do everything that everyone wants because you can't go in that many directions at once. It's impossible to please everyone in every situation, but it's not impossible to please God even in an impossible situation. If you're going to lead with anything more than a surface level concern for doing God's will and caring for God's people, there will be times that you have to make decisions in what I'd like to call the no-win zone. And there's no doubt that you're going to make some errors along the way. You can't get everything right. And some things are so complex that some measure of error on your part and grief on others' part, and all of you, is unavoidable. Because there's just too many people involved with too many personal perspectives to avoid personal pain. Leadership is a heavy load when souls are involved, when things that you do matter. And at times your process will offend some people. And unfortunately, sometimes your decisions will hurt some people. Sometimes it'll be your fault. Maybe you could have avoided it in certain instances, but you can't avoid the process if you want to lead. And you will make mistakes. But that fact is no excuse to shield your heart, and it's no excuse to be careless. But in any case, here's the lesson. It's vitally important that your errors not be because you violated your conscience. And that way, it's just as important that your conscience is rightly informed by the Word of God. A godly confidence upheld by a godly conscience. That's what Paul models for us. And that's the lesson we all need to lead. Well, there you have it. I hope this lesson was a big help to you. Until next time, we'll see you here, there, or in the air. God bless you.